What are atoms? Objectives: identify an atom as the smallest part of an element that can be identified as that element. List the main parts of Dalton's atomic theory. Key term: atom, smallest part of an element that can be identified as that element. Atoms. The element silicon cannot be broken down into a simpler type of matter. But what would happen if you took a piece of silicon and cut it into smaller and smaller pieces? There would be a piece of silicon so small that it could not be further divided. This smallest piece of the element silicon is called an atom. An atom is the smallest part of an element that can be identified as that element. 1. Infer. What would happen if you cut a piece of an element into smaller and smaller pieces? Democritus. The first person to suggest the idea of atoms was the Greek philosopher Democritus. More than 2,400 years ago, Democritus asked whether it is possible to divide a sample of matter forever into smaller and smaller pieces. After much observation, he came to the conclusion that it is not possible to divide matter forever. At some point, a smallest piece of matter would be reached. Democritus named this smallest piece of matter an atom. The word atom comes from the Greek word that means cannot be divided. Democritus and his students did not know what atoms look like. They did not know what scientists today know about atoms. However, they hypothesized that atoms were small, hard particles that were all made out of the same material, but were of different shapes and sizes. They also thought that atoms were infinite in number, that they were always moving, and that they could be joined together. 2. State. What does the word atom mean? Dalton's atomic theory. In the early 1800s, an English chemist named John Dalton performed some experiments. He investigated properties of gases. His observations led him to believe that gases are made of individual particles. These individual particles are very similar to the idea of the atom proposed by Democritus. The results of his experiments and other observations about matter led Dalton to state an atomic theory of matter. The main parts of Dalton's atomic theory of matter are as follows. All elements are composed of atoms. Atoms cannot be divided or destroyed. Atoms of the same element are exactly alike. Atoms of different elements are different from each other. The atoms of two or more elements can join together to form types of matter called compounds. Like Democritus, Dalton had some ideas about atoms that scientists no longer agree with. However, Dalton's atomic theory was the beginning of the modern theory of atoms.